those videos I did quite a while ago, but I actually forgot about it. I've just found it. It's this Charlotte Mortlock, and she's jumping on this Me Too bandwagon now. It's probably not her idea. She's just been told to go along with it. But this is, to me, this is just an out and out fairy tale pack of lies.
Title of this video, Beware the Heroic Female Journo. Because I've seen a few of these stories now, and this one jumped out at me. Charlotte Mortlock. Actions speak louder than hashtags, so step up. So let's just quickly read what she says here. I was waiting in a taxi stand in Manly. This is an article in today's Daily Telegraph by Charlotte Mortlock. Now, I've entitled this video, Beware of the Heroic Female Journalist, because I've seen a couple of these lately, and this one's just jumped out at me, because I started to suspect, are these things real? Are they actually happening? And because there's no actual footage or no one gets arrested, there's nothing to prove that these things are happening. They're just telling a story of anonymous people and then writing these articles in the paper. So there's certainly scope and a possibility that they could be lying to us. Now, whether the lie comes from her, and she's just trying to grandstand, or whether, as the owners of the media want to, owned by, the media is owned by the same people that own the government that want to take away our freedoms. And that's what this, I think, could be, that she's just made this up. But let's just pretend that she hasn't. Let's just have a quick look at what she's written here. So, actions speak louder than hashtag, so step up. So, I was waiting in a taxi stand in Manly at the weekend when a couple walking past began fighting. Okay, right in front of you. Well, there you go. The man was aggressive and angry, swearing at his partner, accusing her of looking at another man. Which other man? Okay, maybe it was earlier on in the night. He was becoming more and more volatile, ironically shouting in her face while she cowered backwards, evidently scared, and tried to calm him down. It got to the point where I decided this wasn't just a normal lover's tiff. I walked over and asked if she was okay, and if she wanted my help. Now, here's where she gets a bit vague. She doesn't quote any words spoken to her. Here's what she says. She looked at me with gratitude. That's it. She just looked at her with gratitude. She didn't say anything. Could you quote that she said anything? Well, apparently not. I'm not sure if she was relieved that I broke up the momentum of the fight, or grateful for making him aware that I was watching them, or maybe just surprised that someone cared enough about a stranger in obvious trouble to intervene. He began hurling abuse at me before walking off. Yeah, what did he say? Are you going to mention what that abuse was, or does your fairy tale not include some of the dialogue? That way it can't be analysed. Well, I'd say that's it. He just hurled abuse. Other people in the taxi line began applauding me, saying, "Well done for stepping in." Okay, she's quoted people in the taxi line, or one person or the lot of them, going, "Well done for stepping in." Okay, she's now a heroine. I didn't need their applause. You're telling us about it here that you got it. So obviously it means something to you. I couldn't help thinking, like, you can get her applause, but you're giving yourself a big applause in this article. Alright, let's keep going. If everyone else knew this behaviour wasn't okay, then why didn't they step in as well? In a world of viral Facebook posts and hashtags, did anyone start filming this event? Could it appear somewhere on social media somewhere? No, because my guess is it didn't happen. But let's pretend it did, like I said. I wonder if everyone has forgotten that while words may raise awareness, they don't equate to action. It's all well and good to share a Me Too post or change your profile picture to the latest banner. Okay, so they don't just want you doing that. But real change needs more than typing. So she's advocating getting involved in this situation. Now the situation is, she doesn't sort of say any more about it. Some guy said, "Stop looking at another woman." She doesn't mention whether he was intoxicated or not. So it's at night time. She's at a taxi wreck. They're walking past. That's a possibility. And he's said to her, "Stop looking at other guys." Anyway, there's a bit more information about that later on. For a few seconds before I went over to the couple, admittedly, I asked myself, is this my business? Well, I would have thought not. and she wasn't in any physical danger. You haven't mentioned that he raised his hand at her, or he's just yelling at this stage, telling her in a loud voice. Now, she's cowering, according to you, cowering at him being angry. Yeah, but she's not in any danger. So, should I get involved? So what they're saying here is that if a man is just yelling now in public, well, that's got to be stopped. Now, just step up and, some woman's cowering. You don't know, they're a couple that could be married for 20 years. You don't know any of the history, but you now could go, so this is what these PSYOPs are. This one in and of itself isn't designed to, change legislation or anything like some of them. This is just an incremental PSYOP that just keeps building up in people's minds that men are bad and that they need to be shut down. So let's just keep going. Should I get involved? What if he turns on me? What if he makes me feel awkward? If I feel awkward, I won't worry about getting involved then. I did. She must really not like feeling awkward. I didn't know if he had a tendency to turn physical. Well, of course you didn't. You didn't know who he was, or whether it would have amounted to that. But I decided it was better to try anything than to do nothing. Well, you would have known that he hadn't looked like he was going to do anything physical. You haven't mentioned it. You haven't mentioned that he's taken a swing or pushed or shoved or done anything physical. So you probably knew he wasn't going to be physical. I'll just sort of correct what I just said a second ago. Particularly on a matter of debate. So now we're into all the politicising of it, and this is their message, okay? To shut men down and get involved, and here's all the justification. All she's described, the actual event, is a guy yelling at a girl, man yelling at a woman, probably a better way to say it, and she's she's okay. Look, I'll get it. This gets a bit bigger in a second. If we're going to make any change on any matter, all we need to do is be making an effort and not just applauding those who do. You give yourself an applause. So, over the page. So, here we go. Now, I saw this and I thought, is this the same article? It's 4 a.m. and a man attacks. Are you brave enough to help? As it turns out, it is. Now, this is by Daniel Mesurier, and she mentions Charlotte. So, it's the same there. It's the same story. So, this fairy tale has gotten two, just in case someone happened to not read the first one, they've got man attacks. Okay, well, he's just shouting. It's the same story. He's just shouting. So, are you convinced now that this is just all made up shit and it's a PSYOP? Like I said, one of those little ones just trying to build momentum? Okay, let's keep going. Are you brave enough to help? Are you brave enough to start telling a man what to do and shutting down his freedoms? Well, yes. He might be justified at yelling. Who knows? His wife could be a total, or the woman that he's with, she could be a total bitch. You don't know. And she might need a good talking to. Yeah. Some women need to be talked to. Everyone does, by the way. My kids, me. My wife's yelled at me a few times. I thought, oh shit, yeah. Yep, nah, she's right to be angry. Oh yeah, I fucked up there. Oh, fair enough, you can yell, alright? Okay, you can yell at another human being. It's our emotions, driven by emotions in a situation. Okay, alright, so let's keep going. At a busy cab rank in a beachside suburb on Saturday night, well-dressed revellers wait to be ferried home or onto the next venue. Is it Saturday night? She said it was at the weekend. Okay, so it's Saturday night. We've got more information here. Why it wasn't just contained into one story, I don't know. And Danielle felt, after reading her story, what's the impetus for this? What, she's read the story and thought, can I put an article in about that too? Well, hang on, there's already an article about it. What are you doing? Paper space is valuable, supposedly. Why are you putting up an article? All right, anyway, she's got the go-ahead somehow, because it's a PSYOP. Suddenly, the burble of a conversation is pierced by a loud and very angry male shouting accusations and abuse in equal measure at a cowering young woman. Oh, gosh, see the scene they're painting here? And despite the Me Too push, oh, no, what? People are getting sick of Me Too? Because it's a load of shit? Bunch of friggin' actresses who fucked their way to from being serving coffee at a diner to living in a mansion who now want to rewrite history and say, I was raped. No. Yeah, there was a transaction. You knew what the score was. You knew what the deal was. You're in a mansion. Kate Blanchett, yeah, I'm talking to you. You would have spread your legs plenty of times. Of Rosie Batty, and even despite the sheer safety of numbers, the immediate instinct of the cab rank crowd in Manly was to ignore the emotional violence. What the emotional violence unleashed in front of them. Emotional violence. I must admit, I've never heard of that before, but Danielle has, or she's just making it up now, who knows. I wonder how many people in line wanted to intervene there, and they're afraid to, and not because of physical fear, because, well, it's emotional violence, it's not physical violence, so that explains that. But more fear of intervening in a private matter. Yeah, I would think that if you don't want your privacy intervened upon, then you might be thinking, should I intervene on someone else's? Well, if it's a man and he's yelling, then yeah, let's go get him. See, this is all about conditioning men also to start pushing back on them and their feeling of what they can do and what their freedoms are. That's part of this psyop too. So let's keep going. How they would be perceived by others. Those are things that we want to flip around. White ribbon Chief Executive Officer Tracy McLeod. Okay, we've got someone else now. So she's now involved. All right. Charlotte Mortlock, it is fairy tale where no one got hurt. No one's been injured. Apparently we've got a heroine here. There she is. Charlotte Mortlock. I'm going to do some research on her just quietly. Charlotte Mortlock did intervene on Saturday night, but was alone in leaping to a woman's defence, and she cannot understand why. Because it wasn't her business. There was this, and it didn't happen. There was this British couple now, and they were right next to the taxi rank. And he was just, and what they were walking past, okay, that can sort of match. Berating her, saying, I effing saw you look at him, the 28-year-old Sky News reporter said. Okay, so she's quoting what he said there. She was saying, I would never do that to you. I wasn't looking at him. I didn't do anything wrong. So we've got now a script, a dialogue here, which wasn't mentioned in Mortlock's own article. Just Danielle, she's told Danielle, well, why didn't Charlotte just put it in her article? Why are we getting it now? She was saying, I would never do anything like that to you. I'll never do that to you. I wasn't looking at him. I didn't do anything wrong. Well, that doesn't sound like someone who's cowering it, you know. It sounds like very, very sort of articulately chosen words designed for, say, a psyop rather than being real. Yep. And he said, oh my God, you can't believe what he says. You're a fucking piece of shit. Just leave me alone and get out of my face. Well, that's what he said. Hang on, why would he ask her to get out of his face? Okay, so what, did she start yelling and getting in his face? Like, did she say, they haven't said it that she was yelling. She's just saying, he was yelling, she was saying. That's a big difference. I would never do that to you. What did she say? Oh, it wasn't fucking looking at him. What would he say? Get out of my face. Well, that's not getting in his face. There you go, there's a little contradiction there. It was obviously a couple fighting, but it was just the aggression he was speaking with. But he said, get out of my face. It was just not okay. So, what is it? It's not okay, the aggression that he was speaking with. So, it's not okay if your emotions are heightened and you just start, yelling at someone. Like I said before, you can yell. Anyway, we're all pushing for changes in domestic violence. Yeah, but it's emotional violence. Back over here. It's not domestic violence. Why are they now calling this domestic violence? You didn't hit her. Didn't do anything like that. How are we going to make those changes if we don't intervene? So start intervening, everyone. Miss Mortlock said the woman was so thankful she stepped in And even if it was to break the momentum of the argument, I turned to him and said, she didn't say this in her article, but Danielle's saying this, "Don't you dare speak to her that way," she said. Don't you dare speak to her? Well, okay, so a guy and a girl having an argument, it's now okay to go up and say, "Don't you dare speak to..." What, you picking sides? Do you know what the argument's about? Oh, God. In this case, I reckon he was accusing her of something. She said she didn't do it, and that was it. But this is like 2 articles in the paper. The whole taxi line started clapping. Really? The whole taxi line? What, there's no sort of diversity of thought there from someone who might just not clap? No, the whole taxi line was clapping. And I thought it was so bizarre. If everyone knew it was the right thing to do, then why was it only me? There's the Me Too movement, back to Me Too, that no one's paying any more attention to. And all this stuff about empowering women. No one actually has the balls to do it. Wow, they might now that you've sort of starting to, build and incrementally build into people's minds that it's okay. Miss McLeod said bystanders could use white ribbon stop kit in such situations. See talk, offer, support and prevent. A stop kit. Okay, we'll have to look at that a bit later on. Miss Mortlock said people might rally for change on a keyboard. So now we're into just, like I said, all this, like, the actual meat of this is a guy said, stop looking at that guy. Didn't accuse her of having sex with anyone, just stop looking at him. You might be a bit pissed. Who knows? And she said something was back here. I wasn't looking at him, and he said, "Get out of my face." That's it. Okay. So this two article presentation of this situation is just way over the top. Therefore, we know it's not. It's most likely made up. Because there's no video footage or anything like that. Miss Mortlock said people might rally for change on a keyboard, but no one wants to take any action and put themselves in the position where they might feel a little bit awkward. I guess people still have that mentality, she said. And there's whiteribbon.org.au. I reckon that, I'm going to go to that website. I think that might tell the story of these 3 women, which is Charlotte Mortlock, Danielle, whatever name, and who was it from White Ribbon? Tracy McLeod Howe. So now, okay, so quickly just to finish off, she's seen that. Now, which direction did they go? Did she follow them? Was she still concerned about the woman's safety? What if he started yelling because they were walking past? He might have started yelling at her again. Was she concerned about that? Now, apparently, she felt that her warning to him. Miss Mortlock said, oh, what did she say? I turned to him and said, don't you dare speak to her that way. And he's gone, oh, I was wrong. And I'm listening to this stranger, even though I'm just in the middle of, yeah. So that completely changed him. She doesn't say that. She doesn't say, he looked at me and thanked me for the advice, and then I knew the couple were walking off holding hands into the distance. No, nothing like that. Don't mention where they went afterwards. That's because this is all made up. So we've got Charlotte Mortlock, Danielle are just making this garbage up. How the editor let it go, or look, I don't know whether it's come from them, they've initiated these idiot women, or whether they've been told to by their bosses. It really doesn't matter. This is, I'd say, probably their bosses. Well, their bosses have certainly approved it. Like, as if there's nothing. I like the American saying, "There's nothing burger." There's nothing to this thing at all. And there it is. Anyway, this has gone on long enough. Apologies for that. All right, that's it.